Council, the Chairman-elect of the new Pembrokeshire County Council, and Chief Executive of the Pembrokeshire County Council, and the Mayors of Pembrokeshire.
How's it been?
Wet.
Wet. How?
Ladies and gentlemen, please prepare to welcome the illustrious occupants of our top table, the Lord Lieutenant Sir David Manson-Lewis, the High Sheriff, Mr. Wyn Jones, Lord Parry of Nayland, the President of the Campaign for Pembrokeshire Council, Peter Stock, the Chairman of the Campaign for Pembrokeshire, Mr. Jim Brock, the former Member of Parliament, Mr. Nicholas Bennett, the Chief Constable of Dyfed-Powys, Mr. White, the former Bishop of St David's, the Right Reverend Ivor Rees, Vice Chairman of the Campaign for Pembrokeshire, Mr. Eddie Must. Gentlemen, we ask you to remain standing for the singing of the first two anthems. Thank you.
Amen.
gentlemen, please be seated and we will then sing the new Pembrokeshire. lovely guests, ladies and gentlemen, we'd now like to introduce you to those lovely little people there, the Moncton Choir, who are going to sing the Pembrokeshire campaign song.
In the beginning, when the world was made by our Lord who dwells above, He took all the things He knew were nice, and He made the land I love. Where is the land I love so? Where is the land so clear? Where is the land of beauty? Glorious Pembrokeshire. Where are the golden beaches? Where are the streets so clear? Where are the children singing? Glorious Pembrokeshire. The Lord made all flowers and all creatures, the birds and all things dear. He gave them to Wales and the Welshman in glorious Pembrokeshire. From the Bristly Mountains down to the rolling sea, the fisher folk down at Milford, the children at Old Tenby. There is a river Glendyne, winding its sparkling way, through every vale and pasture, ever it flows each day. The Lord made all flowers and all creatures, the birds and all things dear. He gave them to Wales and the Welshman in glorious Pembrokeshire. Linger a while at St. David's, here let our blessed saints follow the path of pilgrims, cities so small, so quaint. Little folks gaily painted, nestles and swallows would keep. Young folk of Pembroke's castle, learn of our history. The Lord made all flowers and all creatures, the birds and all things dear. He gave them to Wales and the Welshman in glorious Pembrokeshire. Manormere and Fishguard, Newport and Dinas Head, Haverford, West and Salford, those are the paths we tread. Oh, what a glorious county! Oh, what a land so dear! My love and heart forever in glorious Pembrokeshire. The Lord made all flowers and all creatures, the birds and all things dear. He gave them to Wales and the Welshman in glorious Pembrokeshire. In glorious Pembrokeshire.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the composer, Mr. Baldwin. It is now going to make a presentation to the choir of a framed copy of the song.
Honoured guests, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me very great pleasure tonight on behalf of the Campaign for Pembrokeshire to present this copy to Janice Llewellyn, who, many years ago, put an arrangement to the song I wrote when I was at Chaccoon Royal Naval Army Depot. It's therefore a very great pleasure that I ask you on behalf of your school to accept this on behalf of the campaign.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be upstanding for grace by the Right Reverend Mr. Ivan.
First in Welsh and then in English. Diolchwn Dduw am Dewi Sant a'n hetifeddiaeth. Diolchwn hefyd am ein lluniaeth. O arwain ni a holl Sir Benfro idd ganlyn di doed a ddelo. For Pembrokeshire and Dewi Sant, for blessings many, past and present, we thank you, Lord, and sing your praise. O bless us now and all our days. Amen.
Marky, thank you. Mr. Jim Brock, who will propose a toast to the guests.
Lord Lieutenant, High Sheriff, Lord Parry, honoured guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the campaign for Pembrokeshire, it is my duty and pleasure to welcome you all here this evening. The object is to celebrate the return of our beloved Pembrokeshire to its rightful status, and I hope that you will have a most enjoyable evening. 22 years ago, as far as the outside world was concerned, Pembrokeshire disappeared. It was removed from the Ordnance Survey and all other maps, even from the Wales tourist map, until that great man of Pembrokeshire, Lord Gordon Parry, intervened. Mind, he had some influence there at the time, being its chairman. That was our first breakthrough, putting Pembrokeshire back on the maps. Pembrokeshire was no longer accepted as an official address by the post office, leading to absurd position that the vast area of Dyfed, a local tourism address, could have been east of Llanelli or north of Dyfed, as far as anyone outside the area knew. But Pembrokeshire did not die in the hearts and minds of the people who live here. So in 1980, Councillor Peter Stock, in his inaugural speech, pledged to form a campaign to fight for the return of Pembrokeshire. So the Bring Back Pembrokeshire was born. A committee was formed, chaired by Peter Lewis, and backed by the determination and bubbly enthusiasm of Peter Stock. Declared their opposition in no uncertain terms, they were supported by the 2 district councils and a majority of the community councils. For many years, the way ahead looked pretty hopeless, but that did not deter the committee, which progressed with new members, bringing in new ideas. Much had to be done and was done. Under the pressure from the post office, eventually agreed that the name Pembrokeshire could be used officially as an address, but must be followed by the name Dyfed. Dyfed County Council itself was persuaded to instruct their own depots and offices in Pembrokeshire to include that name in their official addresses. The people and businesses in the county made certain that the Pembrokeshire would be part of their addresses. A committee member, Len Baldwin, wrote the Pembrokeshire song, which you have heard tonight, sung by the Moncton Children's Choir. The Pembrokeshire flag was created and dedicated to Pembroke Castle in 1988. It found its way all over the world, and what was a symbol is now an official recognised flag. I was delighted to see it so prominently displayed in full colour on the outside or the inside front cover of the Pembrokeshire tourism brochure, which will be seen by many thousands of people countrywide. However, it became clear to us that the only rational way of getting Pembrokeshire back would be through complete national reorganisation. And this became our objective. We changed the name of the camp to Campaign for Pembrokeshire and set about trying to influence the Welsh office. Fortunately for us, Nicholas Bennett became our Member of Parliament, and though our committee was strictly non-political, he listened to our concerns and arguments, which reinforced his own conviction that Pembrokeshire could operate effectively as a unit, and that the traditional historic county of Pembrokeshire should be restored. He stated this in his maiden speech to the House of Commons. To further our cause, he is here tonight, and I am happy to pay him tribute to him. We shall never forget the vitally important contribution that he made. And now, with the realisation of our dream only a month away, we have the opportunity to say thank you to Nicholas. I ask Nicholas to stand, please. Thank you very much, Letters. We appreciate what you did for us. It has been a hard grind over the 16 years, and to be honest, many of us thought our objective would never be reached in our lifetime. For the last 9 years, I have been chairman, and you can imagine my pleasure now that we are almost there. But I must pay tribute to those over the years have shown the way. Thanks to the former chairman. After Peter Lewis came the enthusiast Gilroy Phillips from Tenby, Brian Phillips of Pembroke, who was never diverted from the cause, Gilroy again, and then Dewey Pritchard from Alfred West, from whom I took over in 1988. Thanks to all the committee members, past and present, I would like to read out the names of the current members who are here tonight and would ask them to stand as the name is mentioned. First of all, I will read out the past chairman of the campaign, Councillor Peter Lewis. Councillor Gilroy Phillips. Councillor Brian Phillips. And Councillor Dewey Pritchard, I think, is on my left. My committee members, Councillor Owen Williams, Councillor Clive Collins, Mrs. Lewis Taverner, Mr. Len Baldwin, Mrs. Leslie Thorne, Mr. Lou Day, Mr. Phillips, Councillor Mrs. Thomas Cleaver, I think that is all of the committee that's here this evening. There. Oh, you're due to come just. You're due to come just now. Hang on, Eddie. Hold it. There were those who sadly did not live to see the result of their efforts, named as such as Laura Sailing, Charles Whitley, Arthur John, Bill Houston, David Dell, and Bill Jenkins, all stalwarts for the cause. There are individuals who made important contributions, which deserve special mention, like Mrs. June Nailing of Saunders Foot, Mr. John Evans, I'm sorry he's not here this evening, and then again, my Vice Chairman, Councillor Eddie Mass. Eddie. And of course, our Treasurer, Mrs. Leslie Thorne. And Councillor Brian Morgan. And of course, Peter Stock, our President, whose optimism and enthusiasm Peter and I travelled all over England and Wales as members of the Association of British Counties, working towards a national reorganisation for the return of the counties. Over the last few years, we have been fortunate to have an honoured secretary, who with his wife Margaret have been great in their administration and keeping us in order. I refer to Lewis Day. Would you please, Lewis, stand so that we can say thank you to you. Lewis and Margaret has undertaken the main organisation of this event this evening. We owe them a great debt. We come to the important part, I think, when we say the college tonight, the principal, staff and students, has given us such a great evening and a fine menu to which I think you could get anywhere in the world. Thank you very much. We have been greatly assisted by our sponsors this evening. Welsh Water, Deadwood Construction, Midland Bank, Haverfordwest, Stena Sea Link, Fishkill Harbour, D&M Page and Son, Solver, Oakwood, Coniston Bridge, Inwood Coal in that's the gentleman that's carved all the ladies' spoons this evening. Western Telegraph out of West. Western Telegraph, of course, has sponsored the brochures and the invitations, which we have all seen and very professionally done. Thank you very much. Dale Sailing, Brundle Quay, Consort Equipment Products, Milford Haven, J. Lawrence and Son, Clarkson Road, Alderwicks, Priory Hill, Haverford West, Edwards Brothers Coaches, which is ferrying the choirs here this evening, Tesco Stores, Haverford West, James Williams Narberth, and here I would like to say a thank you to Miss Aileen Smith from Bell's Whiskey, which done the pre-reception in the Merlin restaurant this evening. Thank you very much indeed. We must not forget the menu sponsors. Cookermill Farm, they presented the turkeys this evening. Canucky Farm, the ducks. Puffin Produce, potatoes. Fishkill Fruit, vegetables. St. Ivel cheeses. And Cumderry Vineyard Market by the wine. We must not forget the sponsors of previous years who have supported the Pembrokeshire Week sporting events. As most of you will know, June the 1st is Pembrokeshire Day. And throughout that first week of Pembrokeshire Week, there is a lot of sporting events taking place. Mr. Terry Rees have sponsored the Haverfordwest Golf Tournament for the Pembrokeshire Cup for many years. I'm sorry Terry has been stuck in Cardiff and he couldn't finally make the event this evening. Elf Refinery, they sponsored the Pembrokeshire Swimming Association Swim Sprints, which is held over 2 weekends at Pembroke, and that's been going on, I think, for the past 8 years. M&B Glass St. David's, they support a golf tournament in St. David's, and that's been going for the past 9-10 years. Other sponsors for the weightlifting championships: Victoria Bookshop, Tara Builders, Hilton John, Vincent Davis Fishkill Road, Clive Collins of Pembroke, and of course Peter Stock Trophy for the Nail and Job racing. Finally, I thank everyone here for attending this celebratory event. In one way or another, you are prominent supporters and lovers of our ancient county of Pembrokeshire. And now that it is back, I know that you will join my committee and myself in wishing Godspeed and happy future. At this stage, I will ask my committee and former president, chairman, to stand with me to give the toast to the guests. Will you please stand and toast the guests? Committee.
The toast is the guests.
Yes, to the guests. Thank you very much.
We're now going to ask our chairman for his presentation. Thank you.
Where are they?
They're coming next year. Where are they?
Can I have the young ladies through, please, with the bouquet? Oh no, that's not right.
Yeah, that's it.
The bouquets.
Okay.
Can I have the bouquets through, please?
Search the smart tent.
Sorry for the delay. There's been a 1 inch. While this is going on, perhaps I can tell you one of Lord Parry's little jokes. He was at a function where he was a guest speaker in London, and he was asked there if everyone in Pembrokeshire says "YA boy," and there was a voice back in the right in the back one came up, "Why no boy?" Am I right, Lord Parry? These flowers a long time coming.
Madam.
There is one little thing I guess I'm going to do now. The ladies that carried the bouquets in, I'd like if they would come back and receive from me a token of our gratitude to them this evening and present them with the Pembrokeshire Love Spoon.
They're much too busy, I'll do it on their behalf.
Okay. You can pass our congratulations on.
Thank you very much.
response, on behalf of the guests, I call upon Lord Parry of Nail.
Anrhydeddus Clywyd, anrhydeddus Cadeirydd, ac anrhydeddau aelodau, am gyrrwch am Sir Benfro, fy arglwydd raglan, i'ch chi'r styrydd cyn aelod seneddol, Cadeirydd Cyngor Newydd Sir Benfro, fy arglwydd esgob Ifor Dewi Sant. Gwestai anrhydeddus eraill, Prifathro a Goleg Sir Benfro, Foneddigion a boneddigesau, fy anwyl gyfeillion, mae'n bleser mawr gen i estyn croeso at y gyd i'r Sir Benfro, ac yn fwy o bleser fydd i gael mynegu yn yr hen iaith yn y Gymraeg. Croeso cynnes Sir Benfro wedi i eni unwaith eto ar dydd gwrthdewi 9 Sant Cymru. We say that in England all the time. And I want those who were present to know that what I was saying was honouring the high table, mentioning everyone, even mentioning Nicholas Bennett, whom I strove to keep out of the job. And then, as we do, served with him at various times. I say that because there's a candidate for Pembrokeshire sitting over there in Jackie Lawrence, and I'm just balancing the books as a non-political figure. As one who rose above politics when the Lord Lieutenant of Pembrokeshire put his hand on my shoulder and said, Gordon, I want you to be my deputy. Here we are tonight with this marvellous occasion. You know that, you all ought to learn to say this, lads, even the boys who come from Burton and Langham. A lovely phrase, anrwyl gyfeillion, my dear friends. Because that's the secret, isn't it, of living in a community such as Pembrokeshire, that it's small enough and that its traditions are strong enough for us to oppose each other ideologically, to disagree with one another violently over policy, and yet to know one another well enough to know that we can work together in the greater interests of the community, and so that our county might be recognised for what it has been historically and for what it can be in the future. When Tommy Reynolds was the secretary of the Baptist Chapel at Sandy Hill in Marlis, he found himself one Sunday morning without a preacher, absolutely stumped. And somebody said to him, well, I saw a fork in the garden down on the lane down to Marlis, with a fellow who was digging in the garden there, and he had a round collar on the handle of the fork. He might come and help you in the chapel. So Tommy Reynolds went down, and he found, to his astonishment, that the gentleman who'd been gardening earlier in the week was, in fact, a distinguished canon of the Church of England. And he agreed readily. He thought it would be nice to go and preach on the Sunday. And he went to Sandy Hill and Marlis. He preached wonderful sermons in the morning. So good, in fact, that Tommy Reynolds said, any chance like boss, he'd come back here and take the evening sermon. He said, I'd be delighted, absolutely delighted. And he came back and he preached a wonderful sermon in the evening. And Tommy Reynolds went up afterwards, as the congregation was sitting recovering from the sermon. And he said, in our Pembrokeshire down below language, which is as idiosyncratic as the Welsh of North Pembrokeshire. He said, now there's some of us is in the know, and there's some of us is hidden in the know, and I happens to be one as is in the know. And I can tell you, I tried to get 3 or 4 worse than him, and I failed. It's been the same problem for the campaign for Pembrokeshire. They tried the Queen. They tried the Duke of Edinburgh. They tried Prince Charles. They even found that when they tried the Lord Lieutenant, that he was swanning it in South Africa with Lady Mary. They couldn't get an answer anywhere, and they rang 01646 600 667 and said, "Gordon, what are you doing on?" Their ultimate in their understanding of me was to present me, David, with a clock before I got up to speak. We're very grateful. We're delighted to be part of this magnificent occasion. Let me say one thing straight away. There are amongst us tonight people who, in the run of the last few years, have served this community of Pembrokeshire in the organisation that was set up, the County of Dyfed. There's no acrimony here tonight. There's no sense in retrospect of saying that those people who served their time there didn't serve Pembrokeshire County well. What we say is that the best government is the most local government. I travel to London from time to time. I've been there this week, wearing my single-breasted suit now. I've been to London in your interests and mine over these last 20 years. It is a fact that as we bring in new Pembrokeshire, which for us has never been a way, what's happened was that the administrative functions of the county passed elsewhere. But as we herald the coming in of Pembrokeshire again in the form that we've known it, I wanted to say that over these that I've celebrated 20 years where I go to represent Pembrokeshire and her interests. We've lived in Pembrokeshire, Dennis and I, for 70 years plus. It's always been our home, apart from short periods like running away as Tory Squad. We've always been here. So we don't need, do we, to say that we are Pembrokeshire people and that it's part of us and in our blood. Nor do we need to be exclusive in our love of Pembrokeshire. That's why we can say thanks to the dedicated service of those people who have worked in Dyfed. And I was one of those who used to refer to County Hall in Dyfed as Stalag. We say thank you to all of those who have kept the Pembrokeshire flag flying, even though perhaps they haven't been as assiduous in waving it as Peter Stock and others in order to identify the re-emerging Pembrokeshire. We say thank you for that, because one of the things about victory is that in victory you've got to be magnanimous. Not my words, another old Tory called Winston Churchill. I wanted to say too that there's a young Pembrokeshire represented here in this college. What a great piece of fortune it was that all the various forces created this college out of the old education patterns that had been responsible for every one of us who was born here getting an opportunity to serve here and elsewhere. I look down the tables that I sit at times, and I was sitting at a beauty last Wednesday, and I think to myself that every person in there must think from time to time, my God, am I not lucky to be here, sitting at this table in this place? And you look out on the world through television and you see the disasters and the difficulties and the problems, and even our greatest problems come into focus. We are at this moment in Pembrokeshire facing one of the most spectacular challenges that the public authorities and the private institutions have ever had to face. Oil thick on the beaches, birds dying on the rocks, human beings seeing their livelihoods threatened, drifting away. But we will clear that away. We will meet that challenge. We will rebuild the institutions and the businesses that are threatened now. We've got to look after the people whose entrepreneurial skill has been set aside in an accident that could have happened anywhere at any time. We're not talking responsibilities tonight, we're talking the challenges to us all. I'll tell you what, and I know I speak for every one of you, if somebody were to say to me now, if I were to say to you now, let's get together and work over the next 6 months harder than we have ever worked before to see that new Pembrokeshire is not stained beyond redemption by the accident that's happened to it. Let's see that we are ready for the new tourist trade when it comes. I know Kenny Williams has taken some stick, Mayor of Milford Haven, for saying that it is at least this thing has identified for many people who didn't know before where Milford Haven was, and not just because I come from Haven, Ken. I want to say tonight that I understand exactly what you meant. What we have to be certain is that while we take care of the environment, while we cleanse it, while we make certain that it is made beautiful, when we were singing that anthem, you know, there was a remark at the table here, and I want to identify where it was made, which pointed the irony of what we were saying about where are the golden sands of Pembrokeshire. Just tonight, lost under that oil that is staining the beaches. But I also want to say that there are young people here in this college. Did I say that? Yeah. She said I did, but she says I did it all the time. I wanted to say that this college, we're lucky to have the college, and we're lucky to have the staff and the principal and the leadership that we have here, because it is vital to this new Pembrokeshire that the children of our families and the incoming families here should have the best of education. There is a younger generation. I look around, John, and I see you, and I see Gordon, and I see... But we've been around a long time, haven't we? And there's a new generation that we have to involve, have to commit, and the way to do it is through the love that they have of their own particular piece of the land. You know, the best Welshman, they say, is the Welshman who's farthest away from Wales. You know, you love the world best if you know your own country best. One of the greatest benefices of being chairman of the Wales Tourist Board was that I saw everywhere in Wales once. There are some places I wouldn't want to go to again, but I saw them. One of the young people who's putting Pembrokeshire on the map. A lot of talk about ambassadors for Wales, ambassadors for this and that, is Brian Harris. You know, I happen to be standing here tonight. It could have been anyone else. For a long period, it looked as if it was going to be several others. Brian rang me up in the depth of winter and he said, "How are you feeling?" And I said, "Not so bad." "What are you doing on March the 1st? I said, "I'm with Jimmy Brock in Hereford West." "Oh, there's a pity," he said. "I wanted you to go to Jakarta to speak at the dinner of the Welsh Society in Jakarta where Brian spoke last year. Keeping up the contact with home. Talking Pembrokeshire, talking Wales in a far-off land." He said, "Who do you think would go?" I said, "Try Wyn Calvin." Wyn Calvin, about now, allowing for time, is rising to speak in Jakarta, telling my jokes. And he even gave an interview to the Western Mail, Brian, in which he said that he had been so done he never mentioned you or me. All I want to say is this. When the time comes to add up all the great benefices and enjoyments of life. One of the greatest thrills of them all, and I've been to many countries and I've talked with many people. I've seen the wonders and the blunders of this world. I've seen the uglinesses as well as the beauties. And I come back to Pembrokeshire and I relax and I become myself again. Because to have been born here is a benefit. To have come in and been accepted here is a benefit. To grow up in Wales, being Welsh, even when, like Jimmy Brock, you can't speak it. Just simply being here and being what we are. And then extending what we are. I see the senior officer of services who I insulted by asking him if he was president of the mess. I see Mike Clare. I see all of these people who come here, discover Pembrokeshire, and realize that it is a welcoming, warm, and wonderful county. A peninsula that is not only sticking out into the Gulf Stream, but warms the Gulf Stream up again as it moves on elsewhere. Thank you for asking Dennis and me to be here. Thank you for the honour that you've done us. Thank you for the clock that shows me that I should sit down.
For a toast to Pembrokeshire, I call upon our President, Councillor Peter Stock.
Lord Lieutenant of the 3 counties, High Sheriff of the 3 counties, our Lord Gordon Parry of Nayland in Pembrokeshire, Chairman of Pembrokeshire County Council, the Chairman of Preseli Pembrokeshire District Council, and the Chairman of South Pembrokeshire District Council, the Mayors and the Chairman of our towns and communities in Pembrokeshire, and honoured guests and ladies and gentlemen. Tonight I've got to follow Gordon Parry, and to try to follow him is a hard task, as you can well appreciate. And each time that I seem to get up on my feet at various functions, I'm always following Gordon. But here it goes. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your Pembrokeshire, welcome to my Pembrokeshire, welcome to our Pembrokeshire, welcome to the Premier County of Wales, Pembrokeshire. You know, ladies and gentlemen, it wasn't so very long ago when if someone had got up and said those very same words, certain people in certain quarters would have said to them, Pembrokeshire is gone forever. No longer can you say those words of Pembrokeshire because it no longer exists. And Pembrokeshire is no longer there. But were they correct? The answer was no. Because the Act of Parliament in 1973 was very clear and precise. And unfortunately,